Hey everybody, welcome to my suburban oasis. My name is Soleil and I garden in a zone 6A here in mid-Michigan, and today is our day for our beautiful garden tour and walkabout. So let's take a look at what's blooming in the garden today. Well, we still have some amazing blooms over here by the deck, and they haven't gotten any less vibrant or amazing to look at. And these snapdragons really are incredibly velvety and just so lush. The Johnson's blue geranium has gotten quite large. This one will be needing to be cut back probably in a couple of weeks, but for now we're going to just enjoy how amazing it looks coming through all of the other types of plants that we have in here. We have some sedum in here, as well as some salvia, and even a smoke bush. Our potager garden is looking really nice right now, and I have been just admiring how well the tree forms are doing so far. I wasn't sure how they would turn out, these 9-barks that I have, and I have 2 of them, and I've just been quite pleased with that. I've been wanting to bring a little bit of shade to this garden area, and I didn't want to bring an actual tree because I didn't want to deal with the root system. So we have our smoke bush that has been pruned up into a tree form, as well as our 2 9-barks, and they're doing really well so far, so I'm pleased with that. Oh, looks like the wind has blown over our cage here, but I did want to show you that this cage houses a tomato. We have our first tomato starting to grow, so that's really exciting. And we also have some of the snapdragons in this garden bed starting to bloom. And this is the Potomac orange, I believe. Again, this just wintered over in my garden beds because the winter was such a mild winter this year. Now, I'm also letting my red mustard go to seed in this garden bed because I'd like to get a fall crop of that. So that is just beginning to form its seed pods. And we have a spirea that I'm growing on in this pot. It's doing well, and our lavender is starting to bloom here. Isn't that looking pretty? It smells wondrous. I wanted to take a second just to show you that my Stonehenge skinny yews are doing really well, even though you can't see them right now. These are going to get to be, I believe, about 6 to 8 feet tall and just about 1 or 2 feet wide. So these will be a really nice addition to this garden with some evergreen interest. Over here, we're just starting to see some blooms on the pink mink clematis. Isn't that pretty? Look how they hang just like beautiful little bells. We'll take you to look up inside of them. They're kind of striped. They remind me a bit of Dr. Rupel, but definitely a very different shape and much smaller. We still have some foxglove blooms, but they're going over now, so we'll be deadheading those and cutting those back down to their basal rosettes. And we have some amazing daisies. These are not actually amazing daisies. That's not the name of them, but these are some daisies that are going to be coming up and blooming really soon. I see the first of the buds starting to open here. Our phlox are still doing really well, and they're putting on quite a show, despite the fact that we've had very warm and very windy weather, which definitely takes a lot out of plants. I mean, it really does. Sometimes plants can't quite keep up with the amount of water that they need to keep their leaves hydrated. Now, I was thinking about replacing the coralberry shrubs that we have in these garden beds that are underneath each of the windows, because they were small and they didn't provide much of a statement. But here we are in our 3rd year, and it's been a bit rainy, so we'll see how things turn out this fall and whether I still feel this way. But right now I'm starting to think I'm going to keep them because they are coming up to under the window, and so it's providing a little bit more of a statement over here than it has for the last few years. So it is true what they say about the 3rd year being the leap year for many plants. And I can't say enough how many bees have enjoyed this boom chocolata geranium today. All sorts of pollinators, and well, you can just see for yourself, even in the evening when things are cooling down and there's less activity, they're still hovering around and enjoying it. This garden bed right now is looking beautiful in the golden light of the sunset. I love how that looks, and I really am enjoying how the fence has the light coming through it, because it has made a difference in some of the areas that are otherwise shadier. It just lets just that much more light through. In fact, you can see the striping on the strawberry Sunday hydrangea in the back of this garden bed from the fence. We have some nice sedum growing on in this garden bed, along with some hellebore and the smooth hydrangea. This is the Bar Harbor Seaside Serenade hydrangea, and its blooms are really beginning to open now. Simply gorgeous. We have some ultra pink phlox that are next to that as well. And of course our pulmonaria along the base here are still looking beautiful with their spotted foliage. And I did end up staking this hydrangea tree up again because it was leaning. So I thought I could do without the stake, but it just is not ready yet. So I staked it back up. And surprisingly enough, the blooms have not opened yet. But we are about to come upon a heat wave here in my area. So I think we're going to have a lot of things open. And I hope we don't have, you know, those brand new blooms that will then really be kind of sucked the water out of by the heat and the wind. It's going to be in mid-90s for about 4 days this next week. At least that's what the forecast says. And that is not fantastic for fresh new blooms. The Japanese ferns are looking really pretty right here too. Now, we did actually dig a lot of hosta out from around this smooth hydrangea right here, and you can hardly tell. I mean, they have actually just rebounded so well that you can't even tell that I dug an entire hosta out of this. So I'm going to have to do some more, and I definitely will get after that soon. But I just wanted to share with you that I did actually do it. You just can't really tell at this point. Our hostas are still looking amazing, as are the Brunneras right along this garden edge. So this is the south end of our back garden that butts up against our way back garden that has lots of trees in it, so some wonderful shade. And that bird is talking to me right now because I am near its birdhouse and its young are in there. So we'll be quick about this little spot here. But here we have our gorgeous seed heads from the Allium Schubertii. Super fun. And the Scabiosa are looking great. We'll take a look from the front of this garden bed as well. This house right here is the one that that wren has, I think, some babies in. And here's some more of that Scabiosa, but this is a larger type, larger variety. So many blooms, and this will continue to bloom. It's a very good rebloomer, especially if you keep it deadheaded. And our gold stripe, or gold strike, excuse me, lady's mantle is still a bloom, but it's starting to split out in the middle. And we're starting to see some nice new growth in the middle. So now will be a good time for me to come through very soon and cut that back so we can let the nice new growth flush out and enjoy that as well. I want to show you, I do have some good blueberries coming, you guys. I still am not sure that I'm actually going to get to eat any of them. But here's a good patch of blueberries on this branch, and there's another good set of blueberries over here. Oops, here we go. So hopefully I'll at least get to taste a few anyways. And our hedge is looking really good. Just kind of try to match the curve of the rocks with the hedge here. And our Japanese maple has continued to put on more growth and a little bit more height over here, which is lovely. I got a lot of questions about whether or not these chairs are comfortable, and yes, they are very comfortable, and I did put out a short about them, so feel free to take a peek at that if you want to. But I'm enjoying the color that they bring to the garden. Just look at this oak leaf hydrangea, you guys. This is the Jetstream oak leaf hydrangea, and I think it is so, so pretty. It's probably about halfway in bloom now. Gorgeous. The one in the front garden is also in bloom, so we'll take a peek at that. My rhubarb is not doing so great now that it's gotten so hot out. I definitely need to water it a lot more. I probably need to put some more compost in the bottom of it and repot it, but it is what it is right now. Let's see, what is this? This is not a boomerang. It's the bloomstruck, and this bloomstruck is starting to put out some blooms. And our Jetstream hydrangea has some buds that are starting to peek out from the leaves. And look at our grandma's blessing rose. It's such a vibrant color of pink. Our striptease hostas down here are looking great. Very, very healthy. And indeed, our Hosta Royal standards are starting to get much larger. We have one back here. They have a very nice fragrant bloom on them. And the Hokonachloa grass looks amazing with this giant blue hosta. Now, this giant blue hosta is probably 5 feet across now. This could be Empress Wu. Again, I'm not positive. It's just one of the biggest blue hostas that I've ever had. Bigger than this Sum and Substance hosta that is next to it. So, amazing hosta. Maidenhair fern is still looking really cute back here. I love the pattern on that. And I'm loving how this Hokonachloa grass and the small hostas right here, I think they're the pilgrim hostas, are just spilling over the edge of the rocks right here. Love it. The Japanese tassel ferns are doing great, looking so serene. And we have some nice new growth coming up still on this one. And our Annabelle hydrangea is looking good back here as well. And you can see our planters from this distance. I've been turning the one that has the dwarf Alberta spruce in it about a quarter turn every week, just to make sure that it all gets even light. Now in this garden area, I'm really thrilled with how the curly fries are working out. Finally this year we've seen some great growth on them coming over the edges of the stones, just along the whole path, and I think it looks amazing. It's just the look I've been going for. But this is definitely going to be a year of editing in the garden, because you can see things have really taken on so much growth that it's time to begin looking at what needs to be spaced a little bit better, what may need to be taken out. I'm actually thinking about taking out quite a few of the hostas that are in here, or at least significantly dividing them. But the colors, I mean, you just can't go wrong with these colors. They're just so beautiful together. And of course the weeping spruce looks lovely in this garden bed as well. Our catchfly is still blooming. which is fantastic, but it's getting to the point where it's going to need to be deadheaded. And the firelight buds are still forming. And it's also about time for us to deadhead this April night salvia. Not much left on that for the bumblebees. I think the pieris are done with putting on their new growth, so now they are really just this gorgeous green with nice glossy foliage. Very, very beautiful. So let's take a peek in the way back garden, shall we? Here we go. Well, as you can see, things are just awash in growth right now, and I really need to come through and do even more trimming. So amongst these irises, you can see some of the wild mint plants that need to be kind of trimmed down, and hopefully that will provide a little bit more air circulation as well in here. The lungworts are reaching up towards the light, and it's actually making them much bigger than some of the lungworts in my garden because they're really just stretching up, and it makes them beautiful. They're very vase-like structure back here compared to in the rest of my garden. The hellebores are getting quite big, so I think we're going to have a lot more blooms next year. In fact, I am quite confident about that. And all of the ferns are doing quite well, along with the Brennera. So we have a good mixture of plants back here. And we're going to continue to try to work on it, but probably not for the next couple of weeks because of the temperatures. It's very difficult to do anything but maybe a little bit of trimming back here when the temperatures are hot because I don't have a water source. I know I say that a lot, but it's a very important thing when you're gardening. So lugging water back here is not my favorite thing to do. So definitely not doing any planting or dividing for the next few weeks back here. We have some purple plants that I think are purple gentian. Let me just show you a close-up here. If anybody out there can confirm that's what it is, just let me know. All right, well, let's pop out to the long border. All right, well, here we are back in the main garden. And you can see over here we have a lot of daylilies that are looking quite healthy, and the buds are starting to come up on them. And they're really starting to push some growth. So hopefully we'll see some of those blooms soon, and I'll be able to share those with you. I really would love to do that. Let's take a peek at our planters over here and see how they're doing, because they've definitely put on some growth even in the few days since the last time that I've showed them to you. And they're looking pretty good. We're getting some geranium blooms. The heat did do a number on some of them, but they're doing okay again now that I've got them watered. So they're back to happiness. And they're definitely making me happy. Over here on the west side of, or the west facing side of the garden, we have the snowdrift rose right atop of a barberry and just kind of mingling itself with a firelight hydrangea back there. And we have some daisies that are getting ready to bloom here. Sweet daisy, birdie daisy, I believe these ones are called. And our transplant of the mophead cypress is doing great over here. I know some people were worried because I didn't have much of a root ball with them, but these are some tough plants, so they have made it through quite well. The butterfly bush is getting big, and I think it's going to thrive in the heat. While some other plants may wilt, the butterfly bush is going to do just fine. And hopefully you all can see this clematis that's growing on the rose, because we have lots and lots of blooms on it. This is the Comtesse de Bouchard, and it looks really pretty. There's even some small blooms over here on this side. So along with the dianthus, we also have some ultra pink phlox in here, as well as some white phlox. I did a little bit of pruning on this arborvitae topiary just to kind of keep it nice and thick, and it's looking quite healthy right now. Our Sundrop spirea is putting out some beautiful light pink blooms. And our barberries are looking good, but I will say that our salvias do need to be cut back, so it's time for that to happen. And they will likely put out a nice new fresh set of blooms for us. All these heucheras are just mingling nicely, and we have this gorgeous little sedum right here. That's just a nice pop of blue next to some of these other colors of purple and sort of a plum or watermelon color. Even peach, they call some of them. The fountain garden is looking great too right now. Our vanilla strawberry sundae, or vanilla strawberry hydrangea, which is this big one right here, is starting to bud out. That one's probably one of the biggest ones that I have besides our berry white hydrangea. And these two urns are looking really good, and I'm really enjoying how the thyme is growing on in here. So I took some perennial thyme and put it in here, and you can see how that just spills over the edge as well. And the little teeny tiny flowers are just mingling with the bells of the calibrachoa. So pretty. And over here next to the spireas, we have lots of blooms happening on our All the Rage rose, which is a beautiful, beautiful color. It's a little bit washed out though this year because of the heat, I feel like. Normally it's a little bit deeper, kind of like this one. Our mock orange has actually begun to go over, so not a lot of blooms left on that. But our incredibles are doing amazing, and we have some great blooms happening on that now. Nice, fresh, big, white, puffy clouds of blooms for this hydrangea. So, so lovely. And we're even going to get some nice blooms on the small one here at the end. So again, I think this is the purple gentian that we have right here that's kind of rode along with some other plant at some point and made its way into my garden. But let me know if you know what that is, if it's not purple gentian. And this is the Pinkadot phlox also over here. And this Florist hydrangea is starting to really open up now. I've been quite impressed with the alyssum in these two pots and how well they're doing. And our sweet little pine here, our dwarf pine. Our multi-blue clematis are going over now, but they sure did last for a long time. Here's another peek from this side at the rose, the All the Rage rose. And the daylilies over here are looking like they're going to be blooming any day now, probably just a couple more days. Back behind that, we have the Incredible Blush right here. So this one's going to be a light pink color. And then down below over here, we have the Mini Mauvette, which I did some pinching on. So I pinched it back to create a little bit more branching, so we'll see if we even get a bloom this year or not, but it's looking good and nice and healthy. And this berry white hydrangea has gotten very large. It put on some pretty significant growth these last few weeks. That's going to be beautiful. That one is so beautiful. It has just the most deep blooms. I've had an unfortunate incident with this clematis over here. Some rabbits ate it down at the base, so I'm going to have to actually just take the entire vine off of this trellis. So I lost this one this year to the rabbits, but it may come back from the roots again next year or even this year. We will see. And the quickfire hydrangea is starting to open, still working its way. This one's been really slow this year for some reason. Usually it is open by now. But it's ready. It is definitely ready to fire up. And the Johnson's blue geranium that's in this corner is looking really pretty as well. All right, let's head out into the front garden, guys. Well, you can see that our liatris hedge is quite tall this year, much taller than I think it has ever been, probably again because of all of the rain that we've gotten. So this liatris is probably about 2.5 feet high right now. And I'm thinking we're going to get a really beautiful shot of this next week. But just look at all of the buds on this waiting to come into bloom. So over here in this long sun garden bed, we have coneflowers that are now coming up and beginning to start to take over this garden bed. So they have been very, very small and you haven't been able to tell that they're there, but now they are coming up and they are budding and they are starting to even open. And we will be cutting back the salvia in this garden bed so that those coneflowers can begin to take the show. You can see we have them along the back border as well. So really, those are just going to begin to be the stars of this garden bed here. And they're all different sizes, different heights, but they have all seeded themselves after planting just a few. The goldfinches adore them every fall. They come through and enjoy eating the seed heads off of them, so I try to leave them up for as long as I can. We might get some blooms on the Scara after all. The rabbits had been eating it quite a bit, but I think they're just about done with it. Now look at this gorgeous penstemon here. I think this one is called Rocky Mountain penstemon or Rocky Red Mountain penstemon, something like that. It looks more pink to me, but it is gorgeous. It just glows. And then we have the Pikes Peak purple that's next to it. And another Sundrop spirea right here. This one is not as mature as the other one, so it doesn't have as many flowers on it. Okay, taking a look at this mailbox bed, you guys, it is absolutely amazing right now. We have some great clematis blooms that are happening, and even the coneflowers here are proliferating, and we have some of them opening up already because this faces fully south. It gets all of the sun from the morning until the sunset. And yeah, coneflowers in the middle of June opening up already. Kind of crazy to me, but also exciting at the same time. Our dianthus are looking really good in this front sun garden, and they just continue to put on a good show. Our bobo hydrangeas, I've got to come out here and spray. In fact, I'm going to do it after this video to make sure that I don't lose all of the buds before they bloom to the deer. You can see we've got some beautiful blooms on the oak leaf hydrangea, and the Allium schubertii here are beautiful as well. We got some coneflowers here. These are the powwow pink. And in this garden bed, we are also starting to see the buds of the ever after Veronica. You can start to see some of the light purple lavenderish color on those bloom spikes. And I thought for sure we were going to see these daisies that are the goldfinch daisies in bloom this week, but not so much. So I think they're coming though, because I see some of them starting to open. They're really, really close. You can see that color there. These will be a very beautiful yellow, feathery color. But this garden bed is looking great. The oak leaf hydrangea is looking amazing. We still have quite a few blooms that haven't even opened yet on this one. So I'm looking forward to seeing this in full bloom. Well, taking a look at the new garden bed, things are starting to look pretty good in this one. Much better anyways. The junipers are starting to look healthier now that we've had a little less rain. They're even putting on some juniper berries, which is pretty cool to see. And then our variegated boxwoods are doing great after we transplanted them over here. I did take the cover off of the Gatsby Moon oak leaf hydrangea, and it's getting larger. And I really need to come through with some of my liquid fence again, because I've seen some evidence that the deer came last night. They ate some of my begonias that were up near my front door, which made me a little unhappy, but it is what it is, and I hadn't sprayed for a couple of weeks. So I took my chances and they got theirs. But we're still looking really, really lush over here. I'm definitely starting to see some coloring on the hostas on this corner where we're in more full sun than we were before the neighbor's maple tree got taken out. So we're gonna have to figure that out, because things are about to get hot and crazy. Still just loving the blue shadow fothergilla and how well it looks here. I'm gonna have to definitely keep that well watered during the next week as we go through those hot temperatures. Whew. I'm not looking forward to that. It's a little too hot for me. You can start to see the bear's breeches pushing up their buds, their bloom stalks, if you will. And they're kind of spiky, but they're very cool. And this barberry is bringing an awful lot of nice color to an otherwise all green garden bed. Still no blooms on the hypericum in here, but there are buds all over it, so we should be getting some of those soon as well. It's been kind of a strange garden year this year. Things are blooming much too soon or quite a bit later than normal. But look at this garden bed now that we have the Johnson's blue geraniums just going to town. I think that is absolutely gorgeous. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this garden tour today. I'm sorry for the little leap there. It's so hot outside that the camera shut down for a second, so we may have kind of jumped out of order, but I appreciate you walking through the garden with me today. Tell me a little bit about what's going on in your garden. Are you guys going to be getting these really high temperatures soon? Let me know in the comments below. All right, I'll talk to you soon.